My name is Laura, and for as long as I can remember, my family has been the perfect picture of happiness. My mom, Kate, and my dad, Mark, seemed like the ideal couple. They had been married for almost 20 years, and in my eyes, they were always happy. Growing up, I never once questioned their love for each other. They were the perfect parents, the perfect couple, the perfect family. But everything changed the day I found the envelope. It was tucked away in a drawer in my mom's room, buried underneath old receipts and bills. I had never really gone through her things before, but something that day made me curious. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I felt like I needed to open it. My fingers trembled as I pulled the envelope out, noticing it wasn't addressed to anyone. It was just marked with a name I didn't recognize, David. I froze. Who was David and why was his name written on this envelope? My heart started to race as I opened it, my mind filling with questions I didn't want answers to. Inside, there was a letter, folded carefully, and as I read the first few lines, everything I thought I knew about my family shattered. Kate, I think about you every day. I never stopped loving you, and I never will. What we had was real, and no matter what happens, it will always be a part of me. I'm sorry for how things ended, but I need you to know I haven't forgotten you. I won't ever forget you. My mind was spinning. David. This wasn't just some old friend from her past. This was a love letter, a letter from someone my mother had obviously loved. But she had never told me about him, never mentioned him. I had never heard her speak of a man named David. The perfect family image I had in my mind started to crack. I couldn't stop myself from reading more. You know we can't be together. You've made your choice. But I still love you, Kate. Always will. Please, remember me. I felt sick. How could she have hidden something like this from me, from all of us, my dad, my brother, and me? How long had she been keeping this secret? Was this the reason she was always so distant, so cold at times? My stomach churned with a mix of anger and disbelief. I stood there, holding the letter in my hands, as a flood of emotions hit me. The perfect family. The perfect life. It had all been a lie. That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned in bed, replaying everything in my mind. I couldn't get the letter out of my head. David. The love of my mom's life. The man she had never told me about. The man who still loved her, apparently. I didn't know what I was more angry about, the fact that she had kept this secret from me, or that she had chosen to lie to all of us, pretending that everything was fine. The next day, I couldn't bring myself to talk to her. I wanted to confront her, to ask her what this was all about, but I couldn't. I felt like a child again, like I had no control over anything. All I knew was that I couldn't keep living in this lie. I waited until my dad went to work, and then I found her alone in the kitchen, brewing coffee like she did every morning. She didn't even look up when I walked in. Mom, I said, my voice trembling. Who is David? Her hands froze on the coffee pot, and for a moment, she didn't say anything. Her face went pale, and I could see the guilt in her eyes before she even spoke. Laura. Please, let us not do this, she said quietly, her voice shaking. But I couldn't stop myself. You kept this from me, Mom. All these years, you've kept this secret. Why did you never tell me about him? Because it doesn't matter, she said, her voice thick with emotion. Because I made a choice a long time ago, and that choice was your father. But I couldn't erase him from my heart, Laura. David was a part of my life, but I chose your dad. I thought. I thought it was the right thing to do. I thought I was doing the right thing for all of us. I felt the anger rise in my chest. So, you just thought you could pretend it never happened, that we would never find out. I never wanted you to find out, she said, her voice breaking. I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't want to ruin our family. I thought I could just bury it. But you found it, and now I don't know what to say. I'm sorry, Laura. I am. The days after I confronted my mom felt like a slow-motion nightmare. I couldn't stop thinking about the letter, about David, about the life my mother had kept hidden. I tried to pretend like everything was normal, going to work, hanging out with friends, and acting like the world hadn't been turned upside down. But it had. And I knew it. I could feel the distance growing between me and my mom, the walls she had built up over the years now more visible than ever. She was trying to act like nothing had changed, like the conversation we had never happened. But I couldn't unsee what I had uncovered. I couldn't forget that my mother wasn't the woman I thought she was. That weekend, I decided to sit down with her again. I couldn't leave things like this. The anger and confusion were eating away at me. I had to know everything. I had to understand why she did it, why she kept this secret from us all these years. I found her in the living room, staring out the window like she always did when she was deep in thought. Her coffee cup sat on the table in front of her, untouched. When she saw me, she didn't smile. She didn't say anything. She just looked at me, her eyes filled with guilt and regret. I need you to tell me everything, Mom, I said, my voice shaking. I need to know why you did it. Why you kept this from me. From Dad. From all of us. She closed her eyes, as if bracing herself for the weight of the conversation. I didn't want you to hate me, Laura. I didn't want you to think I was a bad person. I thought if I kept it hidden, if I pretended it never happened, maybe it would just go away. Maybe I could erase it from my memory. Did you ever love Dad? I asked, my voice cutting through the silence. Did you ever truly love him, or was it just easier? Her face tightened, and I could see the struggle in her eyes. I loved him. I did. But sometimes, love isn't enough. Sometimes you make choices, and you think you're doing what's best, but it ends up hurting everyone. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I wasn't. I've spent years trying to make up for it, but I never could. I sat down across from her, trying to process everything she was saying. My mind was racing with 1,000 thoughts, but one thing stuck out to me. You chose Dad over David. But what about now, Mom? What about the things you didn't tell us? I didn't tell you because I was ashamed, she said quietly. I didn't want you to see me as someone who had betrayed your father. I didn't want you to think I wasn't loyal, that I was a liar. But I made a mistake, Laura. A big one. And now, I don't know how to fix it. The conversation hung in the air like a weight neither of us could shake off. The truth had been spoken, but it didn't make anything easier. If anything, it made things worse. I understood why she kept it hidden, but it didn't change the fact that she had lied to us, that she had hidden a part of herself from us all these years. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything she had said in my mind. David. Her love for him. Her guilt. I didn't know what to do with this new reality, this new version of my mother that I didn't recognize. The next day, things only got worse. I was at work when I got a call from my dad. His voice was strained, like he was trying to keep his composure, but I could hear the anger and confusion in his tone. Laura, I need you to come home. There's something I need to tell you. I could feel my heart racing as I rushed out of the office and headed home. I had no idea what was going on, but I knew it wasn't good. When I walked through the door, I saw my dad sitting at the kitchen table, his face pale. His eyes were red, and his hands were trembling slightly as he clutched a letter in his hands. I knew it was from Mom. It was the same kind of letter I had found, the same kind of letter she had kept hidden for so long. I found it, Dad said, his voice breaking. I found the letter. The one she wrote to David. My heart sank. Dad, I know, he said, his voice tight. I know what happened. I know what she did. And I'm done pretending it doesn't matter. I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know what to say. The weight of the situation was too much. My father had found out. The family was falling apart, and there was nothing I could do to fix it. The days that followed were some of the hardest I had ever faced. My dad didn't speak to Mom for days. He was angry, hurt, and betrayed. I couldn't blame him. But I also couldn't ignore the fact that she had kept this secret for so long. It was a betrayal, yes, but it was also a cry for help, a cry for someone to understand her, to see her for who she was. I spent the next few days walking around in a fog. I tried to talk to Liam and Sarah, but they were just as lost as I was. Everyone was so angry, so hurt, that it felt like we were all drowning in our emotions. Finally, after a week of silence, Mom came to me. She sat down next to me, her eyes filled with sorrow. I've lost everything, haven't I? She whispered. I've lost your dad. I've lost your trust. And now, I'm losing you too. I shook my head. You haven't lost me, Mom. But you have to make things right. You have to fix this. I don't know how, she said, tears streaming down her face. I don't know if I can. I didn't know how to fix things either. But I knew one thing, we couldn't keep running from the truth. We had to face it, no matter how painful it was. For the sake of our family, for the sake of everything we had built, we had to try. The days dragged on, each one heavier than the last. My mother's tears were constant now, and my dad. Well, my dad was a shadow of the man I once knew. I had never seen him this broken, this vulnerable. He was a man who had built a life for us, a life I thought was unshakable, but now everything seemed to be crumbling. I spent most of my time trying to keep things together. I still had to go to work, still had to show up and pretend like everything was fine. But nothing was fine. Every time I saw my mom, I felt like she was slipping further and further away from me, from us. I tried to reach out to her, to talk, but it felt like she was shutting down. She wasn't the woman I had once looked up to. She was filled with regret, guilt, and a deep sense of shame. And I couldn't help her. I didn't know how to fix this. And then, the inevitable happened. One evening, after days of silence between Mom and Dad, my dad called me into the living room. His face was stone cold, his eyes void of the warmth they used to have. He didn't look at me when I sat down next to him. Instead, he stared at the floor. Laura, I can't do this anymore, he said quietly, his voice hoarse. I can't live with her lies. I can't keep pretending everything is fine. It's over. I'm done. My stomach dropped. Dad, please. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and anger. She lied to me, Laura. All these years, I thought I had a family, a future with her. And now I find out that she was in love with someone else. Someone she chose over me. How am I supposed to live with that? I felt the tears welling up, but I didn't know what to say. There was nothing I could say to fix this. Nothing I could do to make it right. I know it's hard, but you have to understand that we're all hurting, I said softly. Mom never wanted to hurt you. She was trying to protect us. But that doesn't excuse what she did. She made a choice, and now we're all paying the price. Dad didn't say anything, he just stood up and walked out of the room, leaving me there alone, unsure of what to do next. The next few days were filled with tension. Dad stayed at a hotel, refusing to come home. Mom was a wreck, spending most of her time in her room, only coming out to eat or to speak with me briefly. She kept apologizing, kept saying how sorry she was. But words weren't enough. They couldn't undo the damage that had been done. One night, I found myself sitting alone in the kitchen, staring at the letter from David that I had hidden away in my drawer. I hadn't looked at it since that first day. But tonight, I felt the need to understand it more, to understand why my mother had kept it a secret for so long. I opened the letter again, reading the words that had torn my family apart. I could feel my heart breaking all over again. I wasn't sure if it was because of the letter itself or because I finally realized that no matter how much we wanted to move on, the past would always be a part of us. The phone call came the next day. It was from David. I didn't recognize the number, but I knew exactly who it was. I hadn't thought about him since the night I found the letter, but hearing his name, hearing his voice, made everything feel real. Too real. I didn't know if I was ready for this, but I had to pick up. I had to know what he wanted, what he would say. What would he say to the daughter of the woman he had loved? Hello, I said, my voice trembling. Is this Laura? The voice on the other end asked, rough but familiar. Yes, this is Laura, I replied, feeling a wave of dread settle in my stomach. It's David, he said. I know this is probably the last thing you want to hear, but I need to speak with your mother. I've tried reaching out, but she's avoiding me. I need her to know that I never stopped loving her. I froze. I didn't know what to say. My mind raced, and my heart pounded in my chest. How could he just waltz back into our lives after all this time, after everything? Why now? I finally asked, my voice shaking with emotion. Why after all these years? I can't explain it, Laura, David said, his voice softer now. But I've never stopped thinking about her. I've never stopped loving her. And I know it's too late, but I need her to know that I'm sorry for everything. I want her to know that I never meant for any of this to happen. I never wanted to hurt her or her family. I didn't know how to process this. I didn't know what to feel. A part of me wanted to scream at him, tell him to leave us alone, but another part of me understood. My mother had loved him, and the love between them had been real. But she had chosen my father. She had built a life with him, and now this was the price we were paying. Later that evening, I sat with Mom in the living room. We hadn't spoken much since Dad left, but I could feel the tension between us. I needed to ask her about David, about everything that had happened. But I didn't know how. Mom, I said quietly, David called me today. Her face went pale, and I could see the pain flash in her eyes. I didn't want you to be involved in this, she said softly. I didn't want you to carry the weight of my mistakes. I nodded. But I'm already involved, Mom. We all are. Dad's gone. He's staying at a hotel, and I don't know how to fix this. She wiped her eyes, her voice trembling. I never wanted to hurt him. I never wanted to hurt any of you. But I did. And I can't take it back. I didn't know what to say. There was nothing left to say. The truth had come out, and now we were left with the aftermath. I didn't know if my family would ever be the same again. The wounds were too deep, the betrayal too real. But even in the middle of this mess, I couldn't help but wonder, could we rebuild, could we heal from this?